top 5 favorite movies. And I like this topic. It's not necessarily the 5 greatest movies of all time, although it could be. These are personal faves. So I got my personal faves. I'd like you to go first. I think we're going to have 10 different ones. We didn't actually mention any of these on the Father's Day the other day.
Okay, can we do this? Can we do my first, your first, second, not the whole list?
Yeah. Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
For me, and this is serious, I'm being serious. There's one that is outperforms all the other. For me, I love The Wizard of Oz. It is my all-time favorite movie. When I see the movie, it makes me smile and it brings tears to my eyes. Judy Garland is so great. The Cowardly Lion, the Scarecrow, the music, the Technicolor or whatever they call it, the color, and Iggy, you and me and Iggy's older brother Brian. I would say when we're together, we always quote that movie.
Absolutely.
Always.
Because
always
it's like randomly has all this New York stuff in it.
Right.
Randomly. The Cowardly Lion. Anyway. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Oh, anyway, so that's
The Wizard.
I'm going to name The Wizard. I'm going to name 4 others, but The Wizard is way above them. What's your number one?
All right. This is like in terms of how early I watched them and how much it had an impact on my development as a guy and a person. So we're talking top 5 favorite movies. One of my favorite movies, I watched it a million times growing up, and it did kind of shape the kind of guy I am. High Fidelity. With John Cusack. Came out, I want to say 2001. I was in like 7th grade. And it's about a guy who obsessively makes lists about everything. Right?
Yes.
Top 5 breakups, top 5 groups, top 5 Stevie Wonder songs, top 5. And it starts off with him getting dumped, and he's trying to figure out why he got dumped again and why he's doomed for a life of sadness. And he like goes back and meets all of his girlfriends from his past. And it's a very being in 7th, 8th grade movie. I love that movie, John Cusack. And the way he would express his love to every girl he met, every girl he had a crush on, was through a tape. He would make him a tape. Just a very romantic thing to do.
You know, I didn't expect you to say that. I love that movie.
I love High Fidelity.
Iggy, I want you to know that's from a novel.
I read the novel.
Yeah, by Nick Hornby.
Yeah, Nick Hornby's the one good novel he wrote.
That's right. But it is off the chart funny. You laughed throughout the whole book.
Yeah.
And
John Cusack is great in it, and it's the first movie I ever saw Jack Black in, and it might be the funniest thing he ever did.
Also, Cusack is also great in Grosse Pointe Blank.
Oh, yeah.
When he's the contract killer.
Yeah. Who goes back to his 10-year reunion.
For the
that's
pen.
a good movie. John Cusack makes some really good music. Yeah, that's a good one, too. That's a good one, too. But anyway, High Fidelity means a lot to me personally. It was like, yeah, absolutely. High Fidelity. Love that movie.
I love that. Okay, my number 2 is Godfather 1. Again, Iggy, that is a movie Godfather. That you, Brian, and I often talk about. In fact, recently, I think I said to you, leave the gun, take the cannoli. That's one of the greatest lines in movie history.
We say that all the time. We also say take him to the mattresses all the time. I mean, every scene in that movie is iconic. Every line is freaking iconic. It is probably the greatest movie ever made. Real quick, I also love Godfather 2. And one of the things I love about Godfather 2 is it's even more ambitious than Godfather 1. It's 2 movies. Yeah. It's 2 stories. It's probably the best 2-story movie ever. And it starts off faster than Godfather 1. Godfather 1 is a great beginning with the wedding. But Godfather 2 starts in Italy with De Niro's mom getting assassinated. Anyway, Godfather 2 is great too. But yeah, good choice.
Yeah.
Brando. Okay. For me, again, growing up, movies I saw in middle school that stuck with me. Swingers. Jon Favreau, Vince Vaughn.
Could you remind me what the movie's about?
Jon Favreau gets dumped by his girlfriend in 6 years, and he's miserable. And he keeps like calling her and actually he left her, but she won't pick up his call anymore. And he left her, came to LA to pursue his acting career. She rebounded and found someone else, and he's crushed. And he keeps calling her, and she won't pick up the phone. And Vince Vaughn is his friend. He's trying to snap him out of it, and he's taking him to Vegas. And Like every 13-year-old identifies with Jon Favreau, being that heartbroken kid whose the crush doesn't like you and like someone else, and you just want to be Vince Vaughn so bad. So you like memorize his mannerisms and how he talked and all those speeches that he gave his friend to pump him up. Like, hey man, when you go over there, I don't want you to be the PG-13 guy that everyone in the audience is really hoping makes it. I want you to be the rated R guy that people don't really know where you're coming. I mean, I memorized everything Vince Vaughn said in that movie. It was very important for me to see that when I was 14. Swingers.
I love that movie.
Love that.
And I really like your list so far, I have to say.
It's a good list. It's also, this movie has a great soundtrack. It's got all those swing dance songs from like, 40s and 50s. Starts off with Dean Martin, You're Nobody Till Somebody Loves You. Pretty nice start to the movie. It's a good movie. There's dancing. There's Heather Graham. She was great in the 90s. Anyway, swingers, as you would say.
Okay, my number 3, Groundhog Day.
Oh, yeah. One of the best comedies of all time. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Good call.
Yeah, now,
Say something.
and also it has Bill Murray.
Uh-huh.
Playing a nut. Playing an egomaniac.
An egomaniac.
A
weatherman.
Sort of a weatherman. Yeah,
he calls himself the talent. Which, if you've ever worked for a TV station, dead on.
Right.
The egos in those local TV stations, whatever. But yeah, great story.
And he has to get the day right. It keeps repeating itself. Because
essentially he's a piece of shit.
Yeah, he is.
And at some point during the day, he makes a piece of shit move or a piece of shit decision, and God or the universe is like, nah, man, no. You don't get to go through the rest of your life being a total piece of shit. You got to get this day right. That's a great movie, yeah. By the end of it, he's like saving babies and reciting poetry and shit. It's so funny, yeah.
Playing the piano,
yeah. Yeah. And what's funny is apparently Bill Murray is a lot like that guy. I mean, in the word around Hollywood, he's a kind of a...
Yeah.
Anyway. So anyway, great. He was kind of playing himself a little bit. Great movie.
I never met him, but could be, yeah.
Kingpin 2. Kingpin's a funny movie with Bill Murray, but that's not one of my personal faves, but I love it. Kingpin. Anyway, Good call. Another one. This was a coming-of-age movie. All right, so when I was a kid, I watched Ferris Bueller a million times. I'm not saying Ferris Bueller, because to me, Ferris Bueller is like, for kids, everything works out. It's a great movie. But I think the better movie, made by the same guy, is Breakfast Club, to me.
Oh.
And like that's more for when you're in high school. And that's like the greatest teen angst movie ever made. Every single character in that detention is great. And they all make you laugh and cry. And the principal is just the biggest. He's such a great villain. And it's a cathartic experience every time you watch that movie. Every single time. I love that movie, Breakfast Club.
That's a great movie. I love your list.
Thank you. I'm just getting started, baby. Breakfast Club? Yeah.
Now, my 2 next are black and white, and they're from when I was a kid. So your audience is much younger than me. So please bear with me. You probably never even heard of these. One I loved was called Here Comes Mr. Jordan. And Iggy knows that movie.
Yeah.
It's about a boxer. He's going to fight for the championship, I think middleweight or something. And he flies his own plane. And he's going to fly to the fight. In fact, he's called the Flying Pug. And on the way, it crashes. The angel of death takes him out and brings him to heaven. And it turns out it was way too soon. He wasn't dead. But his family thought he was dead, so they cremated the body. So they have to find a new body for Joe Pendleton, the fighter. And the whole movie, it's a riot. It's about...
They got to get Farnsworth body.
It's Farnsworth.
That's Farnsworth body.
I showed you that when you were a kid, right, Iggy?
A million times. It's really... And then they remade it and called it Heaven Can Wait. And then they remade it again in like the 90s or the 2000s with, I think it was Chris Rock. It might have been Chris Rock made the same movie too. Anyway, this is the one though. Here Comes Mr. Jordan's the one you got to watch, even though it's black and white. Yeah.
Yeah. So that was my number 4.
Okay. So I gave you 3 like coming of age movies. Now I'm going to do like every young man goes through a phase, or not even a phase, but where gangster movies, the American Outlaw. a lot. I think it's part of growing up, at least for me. And I've gone back and forth on my favorite gangster movies of all time, my favorite Tarantino movies of all time. And today I feel like my favorite one is Reservoir Dogs. And I'll explain why. Tarantino's great, but ever since that movie, every movie he's made has been about half an hour too long. And there's parts of it you're like, well, you could take that scene out. You could take that scene out and be better. There is not one scene you would take out of Reservoir Dogs to make it better. It's 100 minutes. It's tight. And it accomplishes everything that Pulp Fiction seeks to accomplish with a bigger budget. I mean, it plays with it plays with chronology. It's a heist movie that doesn't show the heist. It jumps from before and after constantly. It has all those irreverent conversations. I mean, it starts off at the diner with the camera going around slowly behind the heads, and they're talking about first Like a Virgin by Madonna and what that song means, and then they transition to tipping waitresses. Gangsters having these intelligent, philosophical, intellectual conversations. I mean, that's what Pulp Fiction's famous for. They do it in Reservoir Dogs. You have Steve Buscemi, you got Harvey Keitel, Tim Roth, amazing performances, and you have a great soundtrack. Remember the super sounds of the 70s? Great soundtrack. Reservoir Dogs.
Whoa.
Edited well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The only other movie by him that I feel that way about is Jackie Brown.
Jackie Brown. Love Jackie Brown.
Yeah. If you haven't seen it, Jackie Brown is from an Elmore Leonard novel.
Yeah.
I love Elmore Leonard, but the movie's better than the novel.
Yes, it is.
Right.
Because the soundtrack it's probably even better than Reservoir Dogs. They're so different because Reservoir Dogs is 100 minutes and it feels like 3 hours. It's really intense. It's not the kind of movie you can watch a lot. I mean, you have a lot of Tim Roth screaming because he got shot in the stomach for like a lot of the movie. It's tough. It's tough. It's hard. Jackie Brown is like almost 3 hours and it feels like an hour and a half. It's a lot of fun. You can watch it over and over and over again. I love Jackie Brown.
There's so much going on. Samuel L. Jackson in that movie. Holy mackerel.
Yeah. Also the older guy. What's his name?
I forgot. Yeah. Who? The bail bondsman, right?
The bail bondsman.
Yeah.
You like the Delphonics? They're pretty good. Max Cherry. Whoever the guy's name who did Max Cherry. Pretty good.
Pretty good.
Pretty good. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So I got 4. You got one more. Yeah.
I got one more. And again, this is because I'm old. High Noon. You may not even have heard of it. I love Westerns. And again, Westerns have a lot in common with gangster movies because the Western hero is a loner.
Mm-hmm.
He's an outsider and he's a killer.
Mm-hmm.
Now, he may kill on the side of the law.
He might be justified.
He may be justified, but he's still a killer. And he likes it. He expresses himself through pulling the gun out of the holster and killing you.
Right.
And A High Noon, to me, is the best of all those movies. It's Gary Cooper later in his career. He's tired and careworn, and the Miller brothers are coming. He's just got married to a Quaker woman who doesn't believe in violence.
Right.
And he's leaving town, and the Miller brothers, who we put away in jail, are coming to kill him, and he takes up the challenge. And it is
right, but doesn't he start? He goes around the town. He says, "Are you going to do something?" Everyone's like, "Ah, man, I got laundry to do. Man, I got to cook dinner." And he realizes it's him against them, and a man's got to do what a man's got to do.
Man's got to do what a man's got to do. It's him against 4. And I have to say, I've learned about my personality as I've gotten old. I kind of like movies where you shoot the bad guy. I'm not against it. I like movies of revenge. I like movies of standing up for yourself, protecting your individuality, and shooting the bad guy. And I'll tell you, I never could be that kind of guy. So I sort of live vicariously through it. Yeah. So that's my number 5.
All right. I'm going to do my number 5, and this might be my favorite movie ever. Sexy Beast.
Oh, God. Iggy, I told you about Sexy Beast, didn't I?
You did. It came out, I think, in 2000. I was like 12.
Yeah.
It's 88 minutes long, Dad.
It's a short movie.
It's a short movie. It's got the best first scene ever, in my opinion. Ever. History of movies.
The first scene is that where the boulder comes into the pool.
He's on the pool.
In Spain.
Boiling. Sweltering. Yeah, I mean, and then that song comes on, Peaches by the Stranglers. Walking on the beaches, looking at the peaches. And the boulder comes down. I mean, it's all foreshadowing. I mean, basically that it stands alone as like a 4-minute music video almost. It's very stylish. I love stuff like that in movies. And then what I like about it is it's a love story between him and his wife. It's also got two of the scariest performances, bad guys ever in Ben Kingsley and Ian McShane. I mean, you think Ben Kingsley's terrifying in that movie, and then you meet Ian McShane.
Right.
Horrifying. And then it's all over. And there's a heist. How do you not like that? And then when it's all over, you're thinking like, why was it called Sexy Beast? Who was the sexy beast? It was his wife.
Oh, you're right.
It was his wife.
You're so much smarter than I am.
So that might be my favorite movie. I think it might be the last great movie ever made. 2000, Sexy Beast.
Iggy, you're right. She's the sexy beast. And we're not going to say what she does.
No. Nope.
She's the sexy beast.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
and you don't know that until the end. You're like, and it's so funny because the first scene is him, on his pool in a Speedo. He looks ridiculous. He's kind of fat. He's kind of old. You can kind of see his junk. And there's all these like shots of him looking really ugly. So it's like, is this an ironic title about him? And then by the end of the movie, you're like, oh, no, this is a very serious title about her. Great movie.
Oh, Iggy, you changed my life just now. See, I never figured that out.
It's the best movie ever. Sexy Beast.
She's the sexy beast.
Yeah. And again, Ben Kingsley in that movie. Holy shit. Ian McShane, I'd never seen him before. And then he goes on to be the guy in Deadwood. Wow.
Yes, in Deadwood.
Like this. Okay, so I keep wanting to give away parts of the movie, but I'm not going to do that. Anyway, watch Sexy Beast. It's probably the most underrated movie ever made with the best first scene, I think, of all time. But any other honorable mentions you want to put in there?
Boy, I'd have to say.
Pee-wee?
We got it.
Stand By Me?
Oh, Stand By Me. Stand By Me. That's Iggy. That's just an all-time wonderful movie. That's a coming-of-age movie as well from a Stephen King short story. That's Iggy, that's a beautiful movie.
Yes, it is. Yeah, that's the last one I'll put out there. All right, let's get the rest of these super chats and then we'll finish up. Would you go game by game and predict win-loss for Trey and Brock and see who wins more?
Maybe another time.
And that's a big one. Centennial G82 says Lowell is speaking facts on speech communication. While training in Air Force commissioning ages ago, our commandant would deduct points in mission briefings from our grade. Pause, and it'll earn you points in public discourse.
Thank you so much for explaining that to us. Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to talk fast. You don't have to fill silences with ums. You can talk deliberately and just have pauses. Tony says the running time on High Fidelity is 113 minutes. Also such a great film. Love the Springsteen cameo. It's true. He does have there's a Springsteen cameo in that movie. He goes, thanks, boss. You may not remember it, but yeah. What am I going to do? Yeah.
Can I tell you another movie? Bullets Over Broadway.
Oh, yeah. John Cusack.
Iggy. John Cusack.
Chaz
Palminteri.
He was the best person in that movie. The woman. What was her name?
Yeah. Tilly. Jennifer
Tilly. She's super funny.
She was that movie. Now,
Hawk. Here the kitties roar.
A lot of people don't like Woody. And I'm not fighting. I love Woody. We went to the same high school. And Bullets Over Broadway was a Broadway play, and then he made it into a movie. And quickly, John Cusack wants to be a playwright. And he sucks. He sucks. And what happens is, in order to get backing, money backing for the play, they have to go to a guy in the mafia. And he has Jennifer Tilly's his girlfriend. She can't act at all. But he says his condition for giving the money is that she's in the play.
Right.
And so the mafia guy has Chaz Palminteri, who's a goon, sitting in the audience while they're practicing, rehearsing.
Like
babysitting her.
Right.
And he's going crazy at how bad the play is. And it turns out he's a writing genius who's a murdering thug. And it is
so he starts giving him notes and stuff like, no, this doesn't work. No one talks like that. Yeah.
Yeah, but he's dismissive. No one talks like, because he's a goon. It's phenomenal. So you agree that's a hell of a movie, right?
So he becomes the ghostwriter, and he becomes more invested than Cusack. Yeah, it's great.
Right.
That's a great movie. Yeah, it's a fun game. Movie says Being There, Peter Sellers. What a comedy. You seen it?
Love it. That's a great movie. Thank you so much.
All Niner says, how do you guys feel about Good Will Hunting?
I love that movie. I do.
It's one of Robin Williams' best movies. He made a lot of silly children movies.
Yes, but he did a very nice job in that movie.
He did a great job in that movie. Yeah.